Yeah, welcome to What's Broken. To start with, it appears that the original intro I did for this got lost, or never, maybe the camera shut off as it sometimes will and I don't notice. Anyhow, I was leaving my apartment and on what I call the free corner, where we put stuff that is just for giveaway, this lawnmower was sitting out there. I gave it a couple pulls, it had compression, I checked for spark, that was good. So I brought it home and over to my sister's garage, and this will lead into some of the repairs or fix-its I did on it. Hope you enjoy. So it looks like the throttle handle is broken off. Probably pick one of those up at Canadian Tire. It breaks a little stiff. It looks like it's broken here, so if I can fix that up and just slide some heat shrink over it. Yeah, maybe I'll pop the bowl off the carb, and well, this is one of the ones where the bowl is the actual gas tank. Take that apart and just clean it out, and let me get things set up and we'll carry on with the video. And before I get too far on it, I've got the spark plug wire disconnected. Looks like somebody got into some rope. And the blade could use a little bit of a tune-up. It's a 9/16. Get the spacer out. Is this keyed? Yes, it is. There's the throttle cable. Well, the gas doesn't smell terrible. I'm maybe going to pop the cover off first. Just so I can see how the carb's attached inside there. King that out of the way. And we'll have to get the governor disconnected. We just take it off here. This also holds the coil at a certain distance, so I'll reset that when I put it back together. And that's out of the way. That's out of the way. Oh yeah, this thing's due for a good cleaning. Nice simple affair though, nothing to really go wrong with it. One more here. And that's a little spacer for in there. I'm going to go find a container to dump this gas in, and then we'll carry on. Yeah, that gas doesn't look bad at all. I'll probably run it through a little filter and just put it in my van. And this tube and fitting, I believe it creates the pulse from the crankcase each time that it is either on its compression or exhaust stroke. It creates a little pulse, and that's what runs the carburetor. or the little fuel pump in the carb. So I just want to clean up the back end of it. And it should just pull out, I think. Maybe it unscrews. Yeah, it does. It unscrews. I want to clean some of the gunk off. I believe I'll use the gas that came out of it to clean these pieces rather than using the expensive carb or brake cleaner. Looks like there's 4 or 5 Phillips screws on the top here. None of them feel rusted in or seized at all. So that's good. Yeah, there's one more at the back. Oh, I don't want to break the... I don't really want to rip that. Not sure if that's a diaphragm or just a gasket. It's a bit of both, I think. I think this screw has to come out in order to get that diaphragm and spring off. Good. That still feels really pliable. There's a gasket on here. Hopefully I'll get it off without tearing it. Just reuse that stuff. I don't think I'll wash the gaskets in gas. I don't know if this will be... Well, that won't be a throttle, so that's got to be for the air. But I'm going to get a bucket of gas and clean this up a bit before I take that screw out. First I'll just brush a bunch of the the grimy stuff off it. Just clean up some of the nuts and bolts using a little, I think this is a tea strainer. Probably should stick some gloves on. You never know what's in gasoline these days. This is strictly for entertainment purposes. Do not try this at home, kids. Once I rinse all the heavy gunk off with gasoline, I'll probably spray it out with carb cleaner or brake clean. Rinse it with water and blow it out with air. I may not show all of that. There's a gasket. Let that soak for a minute. I'm gonna go see if I got a little bottle cleaner brush. And yes, I do. Interesting, this carb's plastic. Going to grab a screwdriver, we'll screw this in, count the turns, then I'll take it out because I'll want to clean through that as well. Okay, half, 1, 1 1/4. Don't want to lose some of these pieces. Little rubber gasket here, or diaphragm of some sort. I think that's about all I can take apart on it. Some kind of little bimetal, may not show up, but there's a little bimetal spring, so I don't know if, or a spring of some sort. Don't know what that's about. Anywho, whoop. Yeah, I think that's got all the grime off it. I'll rinse this out with gas as well and then blow it out. Perfect. So I cleaned everything up, rinsed it all with water, and then blew it out with air. And now we'll assemble it. Fit this diaphragm / gasket back into place. I guess it just sits there. Put this little cover back on. Maybe the cover holds it in place. I don't think that's the right screw. I'll get that after. That screw just looks a tad long. Yeah, it might be the right one. So how I think this works is this little diaphragm pump pulls the gas up this tube, and it's metered with this little jet. And then there's a little channel in here. Let me see where this lines up. Wondering if this, yeah, there's a hole right here which would line up with the end of this channel. So I think, so if it overflows, so it's always got constant fuel, it just dumps the excess down into this channel and drops back into the tank. Pretty simple. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah, maybe that is the right screw. And this little jet or metering valve. That should be about 1 1/4. I think we can stick it back on and put some fresh gas in it, make sure it fires up, and then I'll have a look at the cables. And oh, before I do that though, I think I'll put a little edge on the blade. I'm going to cheat. If I had my vise bolted to the bench, I would do this by hand with a file, but I'll make a little noise and use a flapper disc. And that's pretty balanced. It's not dropping, so it's really just the outer 3 inches or whatever. That's the cutting edge, so you don't need to sharpen the whole thing, and it's only beveled on the top, so it lifts. The bottom, it's pretty flat. Okay, well, we can get that put on. I might fire it up for a bit, let it warm up, and then dump the oil out. Alright, we'll pop the... This is actually made to have a couple of pins that come up. Looks like they've been sheared off, and they would hold the blade in place, but just the friction of the bolt should do that anyway. There. Find the key, line that up. Grab the old 9/16. Wrap that with a rag so I don't cut myself. Okay, we'll get it down on the ground, put the carb back on it, put some gas in it, run it a little bit, warm it up, and then get rid of the oil. Slide the bolt in with the spacer. Am I doing this right? I think so. So this pulse tube, or whatever you want to call it, from the crankcase, it has to be in sort of this up position, but it feels a little loose. So I'm going to take it out and wrap it with a little bit of Teflon tape, just so it's sealed nice. Because this is what sort of provides the lift for the, or provides the pulse for the fuel pump to lift fuel. Come on. Up to the carb. Maybe I'll take a pair of pliers and just persuade it. That should work. Now it's good and tight. Okay. What's next? Thinking the governor is next. Have that on upside down. I do not, but I can't put this on until I fit the linkage. Come on. Don't break on me. So I hooked up the linkage to the carburetor and to the governor. I'm going to screw this bolt in a little bit. Then this spring needs to get fit back around here. Which might be a little tricky. It kind of came off a little tricky, as I recall. There we go. Just going to see if I have a business card. Put a business card in between the coil and that thing. That's pretty much the correct space. We should be able to pull the business card out. And there's just the right amount of gap between the coil and the, I don't know if this is a rotor. Before I get too much further, I think I'll pop the plug out. There's a lot of carbon on, sort of on the body of the machine over by the exhaust. Let me put some glasses on. Yeah, it's a little gooped up, so it's been running rich for a little while. I'll take a minute, just take a brass brush and clean these all up and check the gap. Be right back. Okay, I cleaned it all up with a little brass brush. Gap looks okay. Blew it out with some brake clean. And the only thing left was to put this in place, but I can't remember. What do I got here? I'm trying to remember where this was located. Oh, it was on the lid. I'll get the lid put back in. Come on. One. And another. One around the back. I got one left. Well, that was down here. Might have to loosen this off just a bit. Get everything to fall in place. Yeah, that makes sense. Now this will pop into here. Okay, now I can bring it down on the ground and put some fuel in it, and let's give it a pull. Alright, let's give it a pull and see if it goes. I put a little gas in it. About to go. Now why did it quit? that's interesting. It'll fire right up and die. Maybe have another look at that carburetor. So I think I figured out the run and die issue. It was because where is it? The handle's broken and it's set on wide open. So I took the cable off. So now I can manually operate it. That's wide open and that's slow. So I'll just set it part open. It doesn't have an air filter on it. And if I try revving it up without the air filter, it bogs and wants to die. But I'll show you if I put my fingers over it a bit to create some resistance, it revs right out. So I think really I just need to pick up an air filter and a couple of cables. I think not having that filter on there might be changing the air to fuel ratio enough to create a bit of an issue. Is that leaking around there? Maybe sweating a bit. Anyhow, now that it's all warmed up, I'm going to tip it on its side into a bucket and drain out the fuel and put some fresh fuel in it. Let's see how well this works. Crack that loose. No, that hasn't been changed in a while. It's a wee bit dirty. Oh, a little too far. Dumped a little gasoline in there. Somehow I don't think it was quite full of oil either. It says it should take about 0.6 of a liter. Got some Pennzoil 1030 here, so that should do it. It's not showing yet. It's just on the, oh, let me check it again. It still needs a little more. It's already pretty dirty. Maybe put this in, run it for a bit after I get cables and an air filter. And then change it again. Perfect. I think I'll take both these cables off and head over to good old Canadian Tire and be right back with you. So I went to Canadian Tire, and for Briggs & Stratton filter they want 20 bucks. For that cable, the throttle cable, they want $20. I thought that was just a little bit, in my mind they should be 3 bucks each, but maybe I'm stuck in the 70s. So then I went over to Princess Auto and picked up this sort of multi-lawnmower jobber air filter. And it was $7 or $8. I want to make sure it'll roughly fit. Yeah, I think it will. I'm just going to look up real quick on good old Google as to whether or not I should oil this. So I'll be right back. Yeah, quick check online. Said to oil. I don't have any special oils for this, so I'm just going to use some good old 1030. Just kind of squeeze it through it. Just helps to catch some of the dust particulates. And then when you service it, you would rinse this out with a solvent. And then re-oil it. Really what I'm interested in is seeing if this provides enough restriction so it starts and runs a little better. Or if I have to take things apart again and see what's going on. Give it a try. Smells like it might be flooding a bit. now back to the old drawing board. Might have missed a little bit of that. So I'm just screwing that jet back in. There's one, and there's a quarter. For whatever reason, it felt like it was only out a little less than one turn. Okay, we'll give it another try. Well, that's a little better. I opened up that metering valve or fuel jet mixture. Just another, maybe not quite another quarter turn. But now that it's all warmed up, we'll take a minute and drain the oil again and put some more fresh stuff in, because it looked pretty ugly just even putting the new stuff in. I won't bore you with that. You saw me do it already. And that'll give it a chance to cool off. And then I'll bring you back on and we'll see how it fires up and runs from another cold start. And that little coil I had seen bimetal strip inside the carb apparently is a little automatic choke. Interesting. Yes, the oil I took out, it picked up a whole bunch of greblies from inside there. And I had some 1040 instead of 1030, so that's what I stuck in this. Should be okay in the summertime. You might not want to run that in a winter motor. So oil's changed, it's relatively cold. Let's see if we get it to start. Well, I'm going to call that a bit of a win. I'm also going to look around and see what I have, because I didn't want to spend, you know, $17, $18, $20 on a new cable when it's just the handle that's broken. I'm just going to take a few minutes and see if I can't come up with something to sort of make a workaround on this. This is probably going to get a little bit hillbilly, but that's where I sometimes excel. So this plastic handle broke off there. All the way back is slow, all the way forward is fast. So my thinking is if I drill a 1/4 inch hole through the 2 halves and run a bolt through, and then round this out so it'll fit around that where the center bolt bolts this onto the handle, and I'm going to trim this edge, oh, probably something like that. Just make it a lot tighter so it'll fit inside when I drill the hole. Yeah, I'll take a minute off camera. I'm just going to take my little grinding wheel and notch some of this stuff out. And I'll bring you back. Okay, I carved it up a bit. Well, I might have to take a little more out. But the idea is there, that it should give pretty much full range. So the starting point's right about there. I would stop back after the turtle. I'm going to carve this out a little bit more. And I think I will I'll take a little bit more out, and I'll figure out where I want it. And I think I might carve this handle up a little bit. This isn't going to be under a lot of stress, hence the cheap plastic. So I can thin this profile out quite a bit. So I used a punch and made a little divot where the end of this is going to go in. And it should clear or stay in the channel if I drill the hole right there. Let me dig out some more tools and we'll take care of that. That feels about the right size drill. Oops, I got it backwards. It should work. Now for a 1/4 inch. Stick this through for now. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let me go look for some hardware. And we're back. So I found an Allen 1/4 inch thread Allen bolt. I think to maybe help take some of the play out of the little handle. Probably use 1 or 2 nuts just as spacers. Come on. See if that sort of straightens it out at all. Loosen that off just a hair. See if I can find one more nut to put on the other side of that. That'll just keep it running a little true so it isn't so sloppy. Yeah, it might not be quite enough room. Maybe just a couple of washers. Found a couple of plastic 1/4-inch washers. Oh, that works. Beauty. I'm going to take a minute and maybe I'm going to go see if I have some heat shrink. I can just slide over this and, you know, make it look black. Yeah, give me a minute. Be right back. Okay. So that goes there. That there. See if I have one more of those plastic washers. Yes, I do. Put a lock nut on this side. And a chunk of heat shrink I found. That should work just fine. Let's go slap it on. A bit of a witness mark on the jacket, so I can use that to line up the cable pretty close. Just operate the other end, make sure it still works. And that should work just fine. And the other cable, the brake cable, it had a split in the outer sheath. So all I did was cut up a piece of zip tie or zip strap, the black stuff, put it on each side, taped it with about 3 layers and zipped it into place here, and that took care of that problem. And hopefully all this goes back together without any major issues. So far, it feels like everything's going to fit. Let's give it a try, see how things go. A little bit of gas. Well, it seems to just have one speed sort of wide open, so it starts and runs at that. Doesn't seem to want to idle down, but I'll run it a bit, see if that cleans up. Otherwise, I'm calling that a win, you know, for the price of a, what, a $7 or $8 filter. Use some of the old, some bits of oil I had laying around here. I'm going to go out and give the front lawn a go, and so I did a little bit more tweaking on it. Because where I drilled the hole for the end of this cable sort of changed the throw or the distance of where the cable moved. I loosened this off. Originally the witness mark showed this sheath being back here about a ½ inch shorter, which would have changed the carburetor setting or the throttle setting completely. So anyway, I loosened this off, reset the sheath, and now right now it's set to wide open, and that brings it back to an idle. So I'll set it open, give it a pull, and the throttle sort of works a whole lot better than it did. I think it takes a second for that choke to work. So yeah, the throttle's working good now. I think the starting issue is just that automatic choke takes a minute to sort of kick in or work properly. Once it warms up, it's just fine. So again, I think I'll call this one a good win, and now I'm off to cut some grass. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll maybe catch you on the next one. Bye for now.